Tater tots, simply cooked by Goldilocks. Yes, let's address this right now. I've got no hair, I had to shave it all off because it was getting too long and there's no hairdressers open, so I had to do it myself. I look like my dad, but it'll grow back, hopefully. Now, as you can guess by the title, today we're going to make tater tots. Now, I should explain, here in the UK, tater tots are not really a thing. I used to think that they were just the same as our potato croquettes, just called something different, but actually that's not the case. A potato croquet is made with mashed potato, whereas a tater tot is kind of like a small mini hash brown in a sort of cylinder shape. They're very popular in the States, but you just don't really see them much here. So I thought, why not give them a go myself? So what I did this morning was I had some breakfast, and I cooked up some hash browns and I saved one. So hopefully you can see in the middle, you can see it's got that sort of rough texture. There's little bits of potato in there. You know, it's not like a smooth mash like our potato croquettes. Stone cold now, but you can feel the texture of those bits of potato on your tongue. And it's got a kind of a bit of resistance there as well. So that's what I'm going to try and recreate. We're going to try two different ways. We're going to par cook the potato and we're going to try it just raw as well. I picked up some little tips and tricks from various videos across the internet, so hopefully we can nail this. So as per usual, get your face down here and we'll get this potato party started. Let's go. Tater tots. Okay, so the story of our tater tots starts with, you guessed it, potatoes. Now, I think they use russet potatoes in the States. You don't really get them in the UK. So what I'm using are Maris Piper. They're both kind of roughly the same sort of size. I'm only going to use one of each because I'm going to end up with about 50,000 tater tots at the end of it. So what I'm going to do is get the first potato and start peeling it. And then once I've done that, I'm going to pop it into a saucepan, fill it with some water, get it onto a hob, add a good pinch of salt, get it onto the heat, and I'm going to bring that water to a boil. And once it's boiling, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer and I'm going to par cook this potato. Not all the way through. I want some nice resistance still there, but I want the outside to be cooked. I think what this achieves is a nice fluffy interior, so we're going to see how that turns out. And whilst that's cooking away, we can get onto the next potato and start prepping for method number 2. Right, so got our second potato, and again, all I'm going to do is peel that. Okay, once that's peeled, get rid of all this nonsense. Next thing I'm going to do is just cut it in half, just so it can fit in the food processor, and now we can whiz it up. Now, you could of course use a box grater, but I've got a special attachment on my food processor to grate potatoes. I've used the smallest one. Hopefully that's going to be fine. So I'm going to take the little doofer out the top, put our first bit of potato in. Now, this is going to be really loud. I don't want to damage your ears, so I'm going to turn the sound down and just play some nice gentle music instead. Let's go. Next thing I'm going to do is I've got a bowl of really cold water here, and what we need to do is just take out that attachment and get all of our potato into that water. That kind of removes some of the excess starch, and I'm going to add a few splashes of distilled vinegar. This kind of helps stop them browning, and I'm going to let them sit there for a minute whilst I get on and do some other bits and pieces, like clean up. When you started the video like a couple of minutes ago and I've already made a huge mess. Tater tots. Right, that's the potato par cooked, I think. I need to get this out onto a plate. Baked potato changed my life. Baked potato showed me the way. Come on, get out. Here we go, and that needs to cool down. Right, so my parboiled potato is now cool enough to handle, and I'm going to grate it into this bowl. I'm going to use a box grater because I don't think I should put it through the food processor because I think it will just turn to mush. So I'm going to grate this in. It's a lot more stickier than the raw potato, so we'll see how we get on with that. Right, so with the raw potato, what I need to do now is to get as much water out of that as possible. So I'm just going to drain this through a sieve. Now, you'd probably use a clean tea towel, but what I've got here are some dishcloths, brand new and clean. So I'm going to pop them in there, and I'm just going to bunch up that potato and just kind of squeeze out into the sink all that moisture. Just really go at it. And then pop that into the bowl again. So what we need to do now is get both mixes seasoned up, and then we can make some tater tots. Tater tots. Tater tots? Tater tots. Now you can play around with the seasonings as much as you like. You can put whatever you like in there, but I'm going to keep it fairly simple. So I'm just going to go with some salt in each one. Fair bit, because there's quite a bit of potato there. Some black pepper. And just for a bit of extra flavour, I'm going to add some garlic granules. I'd say about half a teaspoon. Now with the raw potato, it's very, very dry. So I'm kind of in two minds as to whether to add an egg in there or not. I'm not sure. Not sure. Because it's not going to hold together, is it? What I do need to add though is some flour, I think. Get some of that in there. That's going to help bind it together for sure. About 2 teaspoons. Is that any better? Now that's a lot better actually. Yeah, that's kind of made it really kind of compressed together, so I don't think I need to add an egg now. So we've got both of our mixes there, all fully combined with all their seasonings and whatnot. So now we can make the tater tots in their distinctive shape. Now tater tots have a very distinctive barrel shape. And I was kind of looking around the kitchen trying to find something that I could use to kind of extrude that distinctive shape. And what I came up with was actually a mouthwash bottle. What I did is I got the top and I just kind of got a hot knife and just cut the end off, and it's kind of made this little sort of tube, which I think is going to be pretty close. So when I press the potato in it, it's going to make a nice little barrel shape. You don't have to go this far, but listen, we do things properly on this channel. So I'm going to start with the parboiled mix first. So let's just get a nice bunch of that potato and squish it into our little homemade mould. And then just kind of extrude it out the other end. Here we go. See, there we have it, a tater tot. Let's put that on our tray. So I'm going to whiz through the rest of this mix and then we'll do the raw. Right, so I've made up the tater tots and I think I've got the shape pretty much bang on. Nice little scientific method here. We've got the parboiled, I've labelled that up, and we've got the raw this side, just so I know which is which. And I've noticed two very distinctive differences. The parboiled and the raw are very different colours. I also noticed that with the raw, it was much more delicate. The mixture was much more delicate. I had to be kind of force it into the little mould a bit more than what I did with the parboiled. So what I'm going to do now is get these into the freezer for about half an hour because I want to set them a bit before we fry them. Right, so the tater tots have been in the freezer now for a good couple of hours. I kind of decided to leave them in longer to sort of pretty much freeze solid. And the reason for that is that the ones made using raw potato were really, really delicate. So I really wanted to make sure they were properly firm before we cook them. But they're pretty much done, so what I'm going to do now is get this oil on. And I'm going to bring that oil up to temperature to about 180, 190 degrees Celsius. Okay, right, let's test this oil. Oh yeah, that's going right up. Yeah, that is pretty much there. I'm going to just turn it down a touch, I think. Right, so the tater tots have come out the freezer and I'm going to do them in separate batches. I think I'm going to do the raw first, but what I am going to do is just take a sieve and just pop them into there nice and gently. And I've got some corn flour here, or cornstarch as you know it in the States. And I think this is just going to help give it a nice crispy coating. I did see a few videos that use this, so that's what I'm going to do. Just sprinkle it lightly and just kind of shake them around a bit. And now I can pop them into the oil. Kind of separate them out a bit. And I'm going to cook those for about 5 minutes or so. I think the parboiled ones are going to need less because obviously the potato's cooked somewhat. But these are the raw ones, so I'm going to give those about 5 minutes and we'll see where we're at. Okay, that's the first batch done. I'm going to get these out and drain them on some kitchen paper. I have turned the temperature down a bit because I think 180 was a bit too hot, so I've taken it down to about 160. So I'm going to do the same step with the parboiled ones, coat them in the corn flour and get them in. Right, okay, let's get the second batch out. These are the parboiled ones. Make sure we keep them separate. The colour is much better on these, I think, because I lowered that oil a bit. Right, so they're fried off now. I'm going to let them sit there just to cool down slightly, and then we can plate them up and give them a taste. Right, okay, so here we have the finished tater tots. Only thing left to do now is to give them a try. I've got some ketchup. These are the par cooked ones. These are the ones that we made using raw. So I'm going to go with the raw first. Good. Now let's try the par cooked ones. Completely different in texture and flavour. The par cooked ones are much softer. I actually find that they've got a bit more of a potato flavour. And these ones that we used raw potato have got a very funny, well not funny, but a very strange and different aftertaste. And I think that's the flour. These are also a bit more crispy, but I think I prefer the ones that we parboiled. It's slightly softer in texture, but there's way more potato flavour. So I think if you were going to do this, I would go for those. So, tater tots. They're great. Great little snack. Kids will absolutely love these, guaranteed. And like I say, you can play about with the flavourings, but if you're going to make them, I think the par cooked ones are better. But let me know in the comments if you've got any tips and suggestions, because this is the first time I've made tater tots, so you might have other ideas and other suggestions to make them better. I have seen some videos around from Bon Appetit and other sort of channels and stuff that have done these. Some have gone quite in depth. I just kind of wanted to simplify it a bit, but taking bits and pieces from videos, tips and tricks to kind of make these my own. Now if you enjoyed the video, then please remember to like, share it, subscribe, all that malarkey. And when you do subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon, allow all notifications. That way when I do upload a video, you actually get notified. It's magic, innit? Magic. So I'm going to end this video here. Remember to stay safe, stay calm, look out for each other. It's important. And I'll see your gorgeous faces in the next video, and bye for now. Baked potato changed my life.